Robert Gibson, you're so
missed
cross-eyed when you cry.
I just missed that as I was unmuting everything.
Robert Gibson, you're so cross-eyed when you cry, the tears run down your back.
I just want to say hello to my good friends in Mexico, Hector, Chavo, Mondo.
Hola, my friends.
We did it.
I call you up sometime. We'll have a pinata party.
Pal.
Yes.
Anyways, welcome to episode 78 of the Shadow Call podcast, as the gang's all here once again. And yeah, the four of us are back. Myself, Scott,
Hi.
Walter, and James. And,
Hi.
I am really trying hard to not get angry right now because of
Hi.
a certain something. Okay, speak.
Hi.
Oh, you should have been here earlier, folks. It was fun.
What
Got it out of my
happened?
system.
What happened, Levi?
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Story.
What happened today? I'm not sure.
Ow. Oh, God, sorry. Neck. Shablack. You already did the bed bump thing. You have to do it again.
Give me just 1 second, gentlemen.
Oh, here we go.
Fetch me my sedative.
Better take care of those fish game memories. He can't hear us right now, folks. He took the headphones off. Talk shit all you want.
Oh my God, they got their asses kicked today.
Good grief, the comedian's a bear!
Get rid of those pesky memories.
There we go. Bang. And bump.
ED dad.
Old, young, big, small.
Music.
Michigan Wolverines.
Just joyful and triumphant.
Better team today.
We're never gonna get this episode started, Levi.
No.
Oh,
No.
all right. Now that I got that on my
That was your one. You're done now. Back to the task at hand.
Don't make Dad tell you again to stop it.
Exactly. Behave, young man, or I'll send you to your room. Wait a minute.
I'm
Beat your
already
ass.
here. All right. Anyway, so back on track here, if I may. Top 10 tag team specialists.
I got the rope, brother. Ref, look. Make the tag. There you go. There was a tag.
Tag.
But yeah, so oh Jesus Christ. Already the chat's going wild.
What happened? Who's typing? Who's typing what?
Arthur Jones and Zach.
Hi, Arthur. Hi, Zach.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Oh, hi. Hey.
That's for
Read the
you,
comments. Read the comments. Come on, read them.
Yeah, read them. I'm gonna find them and read them.
No, I refuse.
Okay, Scott's gonna read them.
Yeah, I gotta just get to it. Excusez-moi.
That game never happened. It was a bad dream.
Un momento, por favor.
But it
I
wasn't.
don't see anything yet. Maybe I missed it.
It's Twitch, not YouTube.
Oh, that's why. I don't
Oh,
have
shit.
Twitter. So I cannot help you there. Sorry.
Anyway, so top 10 tag team specialists. So yeah, we came up with this idea for this episode way months ago, and we was initially going to do it back then, but we kept pushing in. And now we've thought, well,
Actually, Swerve, we're doing a different topic. Just kidding. We're gonna push it back even further.
Yes.
Circa 2023-ish.
Top 50 overused wrestling moves.
Number 1, super kick. Number 2.
Number 2, super kick. Number 3,
the Canadian Destroyer.
Number 4, arm bar.
Number 4,
the Canadian Destroyer super
Number 5,
kick.
Super kick.
6, DDT.
450 plancha.
8, suplex.
Reverse suplex. Arm drag. Arm
I
bar.
swear the chat's not gonna let me fucking get anything in.
Oh, dude, ignore the chat. Actually, no, don't ignore the chat. Chat is our friend.
Yes, we love chat. Chat is why we are here.
Keep on typing stuff.
Jesus Christ. Oh, what's he doing now?
Dude.
Oh, look what you did. Look what you did. He's doubling down now. He's going to compensate.
So, anyways, we were talking before the show started about
the loser
criteria that everybody had. So everybody had different criteria what we were talking about, like totally different. Walter, what did you say your criteria for your list was all about?
I tried to look for guys who, I was thinking, most of my criteria failed. I didn't want their solo career overshadowing their tag team career. Either looking for an even balance or primarily tag team. Also, a lot of guys that I also made that I had to watch them as I was growing up, which unfortunately limited me to guys in the 60s and 70s who deserve to be on my list, like Ray the Crippler Stevens, Pat Patterson, the Graham brothers. Unfortunately, didn't make the cut.
Scott, what about yours?
My criteria was I didn't really worry about whether I saw them, during my lifetime or not, because I've seen so much wrestling that's gone before that. So I was just looking for overall names that should be recognized when it comes to tag team wrestling, were successful probably as singles and as tag team wrestlers, but weren't exactly pigeonholed as primarily tag team wrestlers. But of course, I fail with that criteria a couple of times on my list. But like, for example, I don't have the Dudley Boys, like Bubba Ray or Devon, on this list, because even though they're specialists with each other. You didn't really know them to be successful with any other tag team. But again, there's guys on here that are very successful tag team careers with multiple different partners, or one partner multiple times becoming champion, but also have strong singles careers as well. That makes them specialists to me.
James?
To me, a tag team specialist is somebody who is good with multiple different tag partners, memorable teams with, like, when you think of their run, they are great with this guy and all different stuff. I also used that their tag team career, really successful. They may have had a successful singles run, but when you think of them, you think of their tag run. And I also sort of kind of used tag titles, but not primarily that, because anybody can be a multiple-time tag champion. That doesn't mean they are a tag team specialist. See a John Cena or a Stone Cold or whomever. Multiple-time tag champs, but they're not tag specialists.
And meanwhile, I just threw shit onto the wall and see what stuck. That was my criteria.
You had names on a dartboard and you threw darts at it?
There you go.
That's very much what this list came to be. The way I was going about it. But
Dave Bautista? Andre the Giant?
Randy
Orton? What?
But
Edge? Although that could be on here.
But I will say, I did try to think things through with certain guys when you think they worked well with other guys in different teams. So, yeah, some people on my list are going to think, what? Why is he here? I'll explain when we get there. But on to honorable mentions, I only have 3. I'm just going to go quickly. First, Rick Steiner. Because when you think of Rick Steiner, you think of him as a tag team guy, whether it be with his brother Scott or with other guys later in his career.
Robbie
That's
Rage.
Pretty much. Exactly.
Judy Bagwell.
Next up, Marty Jannetty. Because he's probably the biggest example of a guy who, great tag team wrestler, okay singles wrestler, because, yeah, Intercontinental title run and that feud with Shawn, and really that was it. And then
the New Rockers.
And then finally, and this one, I get he's better as a singles guy, especially up until late 2000s. Booker T, I have on my list. Because, Harlem Heat with Stevie Ray, but him and Goldust together in 2002. And hell, that'll probably be on the oddball tag team list when we get to that in 2 weeks. But those were my honorable mentions, James.
All right, I have 6 honorable mentions, and these really could have been on my top 10. This was a difficult list for me to make. I hated leaving these guys off, but my honorable mentions, Mick Foley, James Storm, Mr. Fuji, Mike Rotunda, Tony Garea, and Edge.
Walter?
All right. Well, I had about 6 honorable mentions. Starting with the Tennessee stud, Robert Fuller. If you follow Memphis Wrestling, he was primarily tag teams, many tag team partners. Sweet Stan Lane, again, primarily as a tag team, wrestler himself. Dr. Tom Pritchard, once again, primarily a tag team guy. Had a few singles runs like in Memphis and such, but we know him primarily through his tag team runs and was very good at it. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Granted, the bulk of us all know Steamboat through his career for his solo works, but in the 70s and early part of the 80s, he was primarily a tag team wrestler. He teamed up with Paul Jones. He teamed up with Mark Youngblood. Very successful tag teams as well too. My other honorable mention is Johnny Ace. If you follow All Japan, Johnny Ace was How many guys did Johnny Ace team up with, and how many good tag team matches Johnny Ace had?
A lot of them.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
Kobashi, Stan
Steve Williams,
Mr. Death. Who else? Even teamed up with his brother in Road Warrior Hawk and Road Warrior Animal. And Six Man's over there. That's just a bunch of that's just a start right there. I think he teamed with Gary Albright also.
How ironic is it you bring up Johnny Ace and I'm wearing the jersey of his nephew?
But we can talk all the crap we want about Johnny Ace, but he did have a successful Japanese career.
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm. He did. He had good matches too. He wasn't. I mean, he was a laughing stock over here, but he went to Japan and made a lot of money and had a lot of success.
Pressure,
a lot of pull, too. He had a lot of pull.
Says it all.
Yep.
Scott?
All right. I have 10 honorable mentions on my list. 9 legit, 1 joke that's just for me and Walter. So I'm just going to fly through these real quick. Bill Eadie, better known to us all as Demolition Axe, but also as the Masked Superstar. He teamed with King Kong Bundy. He teamed with Paul Jones. He started out in a tag team called the Mongols. So long history of tag team wrestling. So he definitely has success there. Tony Garea, which I believe James mentioned. Haystacks Calhoun, Dean Ho, Larry Zbyszko, Rick Martell, multiple-time tag team champion there, well-versed in tag wrestling. Road Dogg, Jesse James. I mean, you don't see him as a singles guy. You see him as a tag guy. At least I do. Of course, with him and Billy Gunn, but he's also teamed with multiple people too. R-Truth and Conan and so forth. So he has that. Tom Pritchard, that Walter mentioned. Stan Lane, put him on there. First, only woman on my list, Natty Knightheart. Natty Knightheart has teamed up with virtually every woman on the roster. She made good with Lana, for God's sake. So I'd say she's a specialist when she has that to work with. But yeah, definitely deserves some recognition as one of the best women's tag wrestlers of all time. Dennis Condrey, mentioned him, of course. Yeah, you got to mention Dennis, I think. Greg the Hammer Valentine. Ric Flair, Brutus Beefcake, Dino Bravo, Honky Tonk Man. Doesn't matter. It's not necessarily about tag team championships, but he melded well with all of them as a partner. Also, number 9, James Storm, because I think for TNA, James Storm is definitely up there as a great tag wrestler. And the one name on here that's just for me and Walter, the Millennium Millionaire, Scott Scarsdale, because he's a tag team wrestling expert.
Oh boy,
that was our boy's gimmick when he was in the company I was booking. So yeah, I had to mention Scotty. So there you go.
And now on to the top 10.
Number 10.
My number 10.
10.
This is going to be one of a few that people are going to think, what the hell are you talking about? Big Show. I'm going to say Big Show in my number 10 because when you look at his career, yeah, he gets more recognized for his singles run, but when you put him with the right guy, he can excel in a tag team. Like, he and Luger throughout much of 97 in WCW. He and Sting for a short time in 98. Then he teams with Undertaker for a little bit in 99. But then we get to his more successful tag teams, like him and Kane, and the big one, him and Chris Jericho. And they were really, really good for that period in like late 2009, early 2010. So, yeah, that's my number 10, The Big Show. James?
My number 10, you mentioned Marty Jannetty earlier about the best. He was a singles guy, but you think it's a tag guy. But for me, that honor goes to my number 10, Billy Gunn. He was one of the tag team specialists of that 90s, 2000s period. The Smoking Guns, the New Age Outlaws, and Billy and Chuck. 3 of the more successful teams in that decade period in the WWF. One of the more decorated tag team champions in company history. And when you think of Billy Gunn, he's a tag team wrestler.
Walter?
My number 10, pretty much for most of our lives, growing up watching him wrestle, was always involved in a tag team, a stable. There were small patches of time where he was going on as a singles wrestler, but he was always known for tag teams, and again, 6-mans in one particular group. That would be Michael Hayes.
Nice.
Of course, start off. He always goes to the Freebirds, and usually he's teaming up with Bam Bam or Buddy Jack or both of them. And then shortly after that, he goes after they break them up, he forms a team with Steve Cox. Steve Do It to it Cox and keeps that going as the babyface. Then reignites the Freebirds again with Jimmy Jam Garvin. All right, so and continues the success of the Freebirds. Granted, they weren't getting the crazy amount of heat that they got back in the early '80s, shooting with the Von Erichs, but it was still good enough. He was still pissing off people. Plus, teaming up with Arn Anderson in the mid '90s and such. And then, of course, you get a little peek of that tag team knowledge in there, where he becomes the mentor to the Hardys. So basically, his entire career revolved around tag team wrestling in some very big angles the entire time.
Scott?
Great pick there. My number 10, Rick Martell. Because, yes, you know, Rick Martell is a tremendous singles wrestler, AWA World Champion and so forth, but has had tons of success in tag team wrestling. Team with Roddy Piper in California. Tony Guerrero held tag team champions with him. Tom Zenk, yes, the Can-Am connection, they were on their way up just because Zenk's a dick. He couldn't hang out, so he left. But also him and Tito, Strike Force, prominent tag team of the late 80s.
Girls and cars.
I mean, yep, we're going to strike with lightning force, But so Rick Martell is able he's an all-around great competitor. He's a great hand. He can work with anybody in the ring and team with anybody. So for me, that makes him definitely a specialist in that realm.
Number 9.
9.
My number 9. Another might be borderline oddball, but when you think about it on a deeper level, I think he belongs here, and that's Owen Hart. Because, when you first see him in WWF as Owen Hart, teaming with Anvil for a little bit, then High Energy with Coco Beware, and then that brief period in late 93, early 94 where he teamed with Bret and had one of the best tag matches in company history with the Steiners. And then he and Yokozuna team up, and then he and Davey Boy team up, and he worked well with everybody he teamed with. Jeff Jarrett even in 99 prior to his death. So yeah, I'd say Owen Hart is probably, in my opinion, out of everybody on my list, the most underrated tag team specialist.
And that's another
James?
guy. I don't know if you guys have on your list either, but Jarrett is arguably belonging on this list too.
Yeah.
James?
Joe Travis.
My number 9 is Cesaro. when he was Claudio in the Indies, him and Chris Hero as the Kings of Wrestling, but then he comes to the WWE, him and Tyson Kidd, him and Sheamus. He is just a constant great tag team wrestler. Yes, great as a singles, but you put him with the right guy in a tag team, they're one of the best teams, if not the best team in the company. Kings of Wrestling, one of the best teams in Ring of Honor history. Him and Tyson Kidd, for that short period of time, the best team in the company. Him and Sheamus turned out to be a great team. And really, when we talk about oddball tag teams, could probably put the bar on that list.
Walter?
My number 9 is where my criteria starts to, stray away. Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero's first came to prominence and known amongst the wrestling community, teaming up with Art Barr. Having an amazing feud with El Hijo del Santo and Octagon, and culminating in one of the best tag team matches I have ever seen. Definitely one of my top 5 tag matches ever. AAA When Worlds Collide. And then we get a little bit of a gap there where we really didn't get much of an Eddie as a tag team, but we were so good at it. But then we finally saw it again when the Filthy Animals formed and he was teaming with Ray a lot more. And you were getting really good tag matches out of those two. And then Los Guerreros basically reignited the tag division in WWE. And we haven't had a tag division that good since then. And Eddie and Chavo were a very, very key part of that. And of course, it's like as James said, mentioned with a lot of other guys there, you put Eddie with pretty much anyone else that he's teamed up with, and you're guaranteed to have a great match.
Eddie and Tajiri worked as a team.
Yeah.
Just about to mention that. Yes. Yep. Phenomenal. So Eddie Guerrero just as great. And that was the thing. When he moved to ECW, it was supposed to be him and Art Barr. So he was going to be going as a tag team attraction initially. And unfortunately, Art Barr's passing basically they couldn't find a partner for Eddie or do anything. So that gave Eddie the opportunity to break out as a solo star. But there was no problems whatsoever for Eddie to revisit his tag team abilities.
Scott?
My number 9, I think this guy's very well versed in the world of tag team wrestling. Christian. But Christian, of course, Christian and Edge, of course, prominent tag team. Both of them of that three team run there with the Dudleys, Hardys, and Edge and Christian. Edge and Christian, the only two to go on to both become prominent world champions and have strong singles careers. But still, to this day, even though Christian has that singles strong run, I still see him as a tag wrestler. I still see him as having that ability to just kind of meld between the two psychologies very easily. If I saw Christian in a tag match, I'm going to think this is going to be a good match. He's there. This is going to be good. You're in good hands with Christian. So there you go. He's my number 9.
Number 8.
What?
There we go.
Number
funny
8.
Enough, you just brought up Christian. My number 8 is Edge.
Mm-hmm.
Because with Edge, and it's not just him and Christian, that's obvious, but him and Ray quite a few times over the years have teamed up. He and Randy Orton, Rated RKO, that was a really good team. And then even he and Jericho for that short time in 2009 prior to his Achilles injury, that could have been, had Edge not gotten hurt, that could have been the best tag team you would have seen in a long time.
That was the plan. Yeah. To build them as the top dominating team in the company, and then Edge got hurt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Edge, honestly, when it comes to like tag team specialists, I feel like you can't do a list like this without a mention of Edge, because holy crap, everybody he teamed with won titles, had damn good matches. I've said. James?
My number 8 is Levi. I already mentioned him, Owen Hart. He made every team he was a part of, he made work in some way, shape, or form. Hell, even High Energy worked for a small period of time. But him and Anvil was a good team both times they teamed up. Because they teamed up in late 91, early 92, and then they teamed up like late 94, early 95. Him and Yoko, he carried Yoko in 95, and not the easiest task in the world, especially at that point. But then him and Davey, one of the best teams during that, the best team during that time. Him and Jarrett worked just great stuff, and he had great tag matches all throughout with all. Okay, High Energy didn't really have great matches, but every other team, they had something great. I mean, him and Anvil against Brett and Davey on Raw. Him and Davey against Shawn and Austin on Raw. There's all sorts. The Hart Brothers, Steiner Brothers match. I can go on. Owen was a great tag team wrestler.
Walter?
My number 8, again, kind of straying away from my criteria because this guy's solo career arguably outshines his tag team career, but him and his brother put tag team wrestling on the map in Japan. Scott, what am I talking about?
Go ahead, Sam.
Jackass! You're a son of a bitch, Tommy Dreamer! I take my 2 middle fingers and put them in your face, you son of a bitch! Yeah, Terry Funk. A lot of people, of course, all know Terry Funk for being Terry Funk. But Terry Funk is also a prominent tag team wrestler who achieved worldwide popularity, teaming up with Dory Funk Jr., his brother, in Japan, and battling the likes of Abdullah the Butcher, the Sheik, Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen, Jumbo Saruta and Giant Baba. They were insanely over. Their theme music was a #1 chart. Was #1 in the charts in Japan. They were so huge. But also, it also formulated tag team wrestling in Japan for it was a brawl. It brought Americanized wrestling over to Japan for the very first time. Americans, the Texas style, that Terry and Dory knew. Because it was a lot more than just what Inoki was doing, what Baba was doing. These were wild brawls that would go out into the audience. They were taking the Tupelo concession stand match and bringing it to Japan with these guys, and that's why I have Terry Funk as my number 8. He's the direct influence and the great matches.
Scott?
My number 8 is a name that Walter would not put on his list because of his criteria, but come on. You cannot talk about tag team wrestling without talking about Ray the Crippler Stevens. This guy, world-renowned as a great tag team wrestler, 60s, 70s, has wrestled with so many different promotions, so many different territories, teamed with a lot of guys, but most prominently, you think of Pat Patterson, the run they had in California with Gene LaBelle and in the AWA, and you think about Ray Stevens and Nick Bockwinkel with Bobby Heenan. What a package that was. So Ray Stevens, prominent worker of that time frame. The stories: owned planes, trains, automobiles, was married 5,000 times, made $20 million, spent $30 million. A name that does not get mentioned enough because the guy was so damn good in the ring. Good on the microphone too, had presence, had charisma, but he had it all. And tag team wrestling, Ray Stevens, they go right in hand with each other. So yeah, that Crippler, my number 8.
Now number 7.
7.
But my number 7 is John Morrison. Because after all, when you think of his,
I'm loving these lists. By the way, we're really getting a lot of cool names.
Different.
I'm liking this.
Great.
Yeah,
I think it's the first time where we all have a very diverse list.
Very diverse. So yeah, this is good. Yeah. Keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
So with John Hennigan, the man himself, when you think of his career, you immediately think of 2 teams: Eminem with Joey Mercury and The Miz. And both were great teams, especially Eminem early on, like 2005 through early 07. Man, they were the team on SmackDown for a long time, neck and neck with London and Kendrick. But then he teams with The Miz and form The Dirt Sheet. And they would have good matches with just about anybody. And comedy gold. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch any episode of their old WWE.com show, The Dirt Sheet, and you will get a kick out of some of the stuff they did.
I like the cookies. I like the cream.
So, yeah, Jomo is my number 7 because, yeah, he was solid as a singles guy, but especially in WWE, never reached the potential he could have had as a singles guy. Then again, part of it was because, well, he was kind of a dick backstage 10 years ago. Who am I talking about that he was a dick to? So, Trish Stratus, Mania 27. But regardless of all that, great tag worker, enough said. James?
My number 7 was an honorable mention on a few of your guys' lists, but my number 7's Stan Lane. One half of the Fabulous Ones, one half of the Midnight Express. What more do I have to say there?
Trained by Ric Flair, too.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, two of the most successful teams of that era, and you think of Stan Lane, was he ever a singles?
No.
Not prominently displayed, you could say.
Heroes of Wrestling, he was.
Yeah.
But when you think of Stan Lane, you think of tag team wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Backstage commentary.
Hi, this is the WWF Report, and this is Sweet Stan Lane.
Federation. Do you like yachts? Because I like yachts. Check out this yacht. I'm not your father.
Racing commentator.
I'm not your father.
But yeah.
Well, according to Cornette and according to Foley, though, Sweet Stan Lane was quite the solo wrestler when it came to the ladies.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Stan Lane, number 7.
In the ring, too. Yeah, those little dance things he would do every time he threw a kick.
Yeah.
Sexy dancing, yeah.
After you do the combat kick, martial arts kick by Sweet Stan.
Yep.
Walter?
Number 7 is a tie. All right. I'm again, this list is very hard. Very hard. Number 7 is a tie. One of them was on an honorable mention here. I believe he's in the top 10 because the bulk of his career was in tag teams. He's known primarily for a tag team, a brotherly tag team, if you will, and that's Rick Steiner. Just so good at what he did, just using the psychology that him and Scott had. But he was able to transition. He was able to, again, another guy who was able to team with anybody and make it work. Whether it be team with Sting or Lex Luger when Scott was injured, teaming up with Bill Kazmaier for crying out loud. What's that?
Varsity Club.
The Varsity Club with Mike Rotunda. Who else after that?
Kenny Chaos.
Kenny Chaos, thank you. Yeah.
Judy Bagwell.
Yep.
Judy Bagwell. So Rick made it work, and that's where he primarily was, and that's what made it so it was good at what he did. And sharing the number 7 spot is his fellow Varsity Club brethren, Dr. Death Steve Williams, another guy with a multitude of tag team partners that had a lot of success, starting back with Ted DiBiase, Ron Simmons, he teamed with Simmons and Crockett. Not Rick Steiner. He didn't team with Rick. He replaced Rick.
Yep, Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah,
and Mike Rotunda. And Mike Rotunda.
And Rotunda actually had success in Japan later on in the early 2000s.
Him and Nikita.
Yep,
briefly.
And of course, most notably, the Miracle Violence connection with Terry Bam Bam Gordy. The success they had. Also, he teamed up with Gary Albright. He teamed up with Johnny Ace, another one of the Johnny Ace guys. There's a lot I can say about Dr. Death as much as about his solo career, but he also had a hell of a tag team run as well. So there's tied for number 7.
Scott?
My number 7 is Buff Bagwell. Kidding. No, it's not.
He was a thought though, because Buff did have a pretty,
it was a joke, Walter. It doesn't need to be extracted upon.
Could have been an honorable mention for some people.
My number 7 is very simple. Ricky Morton. Move on. What more need to be said? Go.
Number 666.
666. Devil.
6.
My number 6 has already been mentioned. Cesaro, Claudio Cascanoli. I mean, Kings of Wrestling with Chris Hero. Then here in WWE with Tyson Kidd and Sheamus, and even a short-lived team with Nakamura as well recently. So,
one forgot the Real Americans with Jack Swagger.
That too.
We the
Swagger.
People.
Yep.
They got freaking over, and then they split them up.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
But yeah,
this wasn't supposed to work, so split them up, please.
Yeah. James?
My number 6 is Terry Bam Bam Gordy. Because, of course, you remember him with the Freebirds, but, of course, Dr. Death Steve Williams and Stan Hansen as well. Hell of a tag wrestler. Moving on.
Walter.
My number 6 is another partner of Terry Bam Bam Gordy, another guy who had a prominent career in Japan, not just as a solo wrestler, but in tag teams as well. Alongside Gordy, the most prolific tag team he was with Bruiser Brody. The Lariat, Stan Hansen, is my number 6. Again, another guy who had a multitude of tag team partners in Japan and also brought that brawling style in America that we all knew and loved, that violent, bloody, take it outside the ring, get in the fans' way, make them get out of there. Stan Hansen has teamed up with Bruiser Brody. He teamed up with Terry Bam Bam Gordy. He teamed up with Dan Spivey. Actually, a pretty decent team with Dan Spivey. DiBiase he teamed up with several times before and after DiBiase's WWF run. Who else? I think he teamed with Kobashi. I think he also teamed with Misawa a couple times, teamed with Kawada. And Vader. Actually, the last tag team run, the last great run he had was with Vader before I think he started settling down and retiring. So yeah, Stan Delarian Hansen, another prominent guy from over here who had a hell of a tag team career over there.
Scott?
My number 6, Walter already talked about this guy in great length, so I don't need to expand upon it anymore. My number 6, Eddie Guerrero.
Now into the top 5. At number 5 on my list is a guy that I will be shocked if he's not on anybody else's list, Bobby Eaton.
Yeah, he's on there.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
So, with Beautiful Bobby, who we lost recently, rest in peace. Look at the multitude of names he's teamed up with over the years. Dennis Condrey, even later on, Arn Anderson. But the big one, him and Stan Lane, the Midnight Express. Enough said, one of the greatest teams of all time. Moving on. James.
My number 5 is Kofi Kingston. Of course, the team with CM Punk and Evan Bourne and R-Truth, but you think of Kofi Kingston, you think of his run with Xavier Woods and Big E, The New Day. He is tied with Edge for being the most decorated tag team champion in company history, has held the tag title longer than anybody else in company history. He's had a singles run, but you think of him as a tag team guy.
Walter?
My number 5 has already been mentioned. James already brought him up. Terry Bam Bam Gordy. What more can be said?
It's my number 5, too. There you go. So that's Freebird, Stan Hansen, Steve Williams. Out of all those guys, we talked about all these other wrestlers that have been kind of mixed around, like Hansen and Brody, or Hansen and Gordy, or Williams and Gordy, or Williams and Hansen, all these other guys. Terry Gordy is like a constant with that tag team division there in Japan. And of course, he was trained so early, 16 years old, 15 years old. He had his first match with that, and getting paired with Michael Hayes, and then Buddy gets put in the mix too. So he just has all these other guys to start really honing his craft as a tag wrestler. Yeah, he was great as a singles, and you saw his great matches with the Von Erichs in World Class, but it seems more and more that you just think tag team wrestling when you think Terry Gordy. He just is associated with so many great people that he worked with and teamed with. That becomes his, that becomes a calling card for Terry Gordy.
Number 4. Is another guy I'll be shocked if nobody else has. AA Arn Anderson.
Maybe.
No, don't have him.
But when I think of Arn Anderson, I immediately think him teaming up with anybody in the Dangerous Alliance or the Horsemen, particularly Tully Blanchard and the Brainbusters in WWF, because, you put him with the right guy, and he excels as a tag team guy. Like I said, especially him and Tully in the Horsemen or the Brainbusters. And because I feel like when it comes to Arn, I feel his tag team runs overshadow his single stuff, to me at least. So, AA my number 4. James?
My number 4, based on his character, you would never think this guy would be a tag team wrestler, but you look at the number of partners he's had and how successful he was. Kane. Like, him
Glenn
and the
Jake.
Undertaker.
Yeah.
Yes, Glenn Jake. I mean, hell, in Smoky Mountain with Al Snow, but then he comes to the WWF. Him and Mankind, him and Undertaker, him and X-Pac, him and The Big Show, him and Rob Van Dam, him and the Hurricane,
Yeah.
Him and Daniel
him
Bryan.
and Daniel Bryan. I mean, he's worked with anybody he's been paired with. He's been successful as a tag team wrestler.
Him and Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
That
That counts. That counts.
I mean, but you think about all the successful teams and the number of titles he's won as you look at the character of Kane, you don't think of him as a tag team guy, but holy shit, you look and it's like,
Look at it. Yeah.
very successful tag team wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Walter.
Number 4, we're still in Japan. Probably the most successful, probably the one who had the most successful tag team career and as much of a success as a solo career. That would be Kenta Kobashi.
I knew he was going to say Kobashi. Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
Kenta Kobashi. I mean, again, who was he teamed up with? He's teamed up with, he started with Misawa. Him and Kawada teamed up here and there. He took Akiyama under his wing. He took a very young Kenta under his wing. Johnny Ace, the Patriot, Tsuyoshi Kikuchi, where him and Kikuchi went against Doug Furnace and Phil LaFon or Dan Profit. It
What a
was
fucking
probably
match.
the best tag team match ever. It was, and Kobashi was not only ranked so high not just because of his accolades as a tag team wrestler. I mean, like him and Misawa versus Tao and Kawada, pure fucking classics, absolutely pure classics. But just his mechanics as a tag team wrestler, his psychology, his approach, and that's probably what made him arguably between him, the best of the 4 pillars.
Scott.
My number 4 has already been mentioned because how could you not? Kofi Kingston. Evan Bourne, R-Truth, CM Punk, The New Day, all these aspects of Kofi Kingston's career. Yeah, he had the title, but he wasn't the guy. We know that. We know that deal. But you think tag wrestling, especially in the modern era, Kofi Kingston's name comes up. My number 4.
Now number 3.
Brace.
My number 3 is a guy I know nobody's going to have on their list. And I know he wasn't even an honorable mention. I'm honestly a bit surprised. Christopher Daniels.
Okay.
Because when you look at his career, excuse me, as great as he is solo, I think he's just as good, if not a bit better, as a tag team wrestler. Like hell in Ring of Honor, he teams with guys like Donovan Morgan and Matt Sydal. In Japan, teamed up with American Dragon Bryan Danielson. But his teams in TNA, Loki and Elix Skipper and Triple X, he and AJ Styles for that short time in 2006 was one of the best teams I ever saw. And him and Frankie Kazarian, who are still technically teaming to this day.
They haven't teamed in a long time, honestly.
Oh. Well, I last saw them team like a year and a half ago. So.
But that was about it. Yeah.
But still, I mean, you put him with anybody, and he's going to be a successful tag team guy. Especially in his run in Triple X. Hell, even one time holding the belts with another guy that I'll talk about later. But anyways, Daniels is my number 3. James?
If you want, you can count his WWF title reign with Aaron Aguilera, where they were dressed as the Conquistadors. If you want to count that.
Yeah, you can put that in there, yeah. James!
My number 3, Scott mentioned him earlier, way before my time, but definitely deserves a spot on this list, Ray the Crippler Stevens.
Walter?
My number 3, Levi mentioned him a little while ago, AA, Arn Anderson. Again, the prominent, the majority of his career was in tag teams, and very good tag teams, mind you. I mean, he teamed up with... he teamed up with Tully. He teamed with Ole obviously. Teamed up with
Oh, yes.
Anderson, teamed up with Tully Blanchard, teamed up with Larry Zbyszko, teamed up with Bobby Eaton. And also then of course when he went to the Horsemen, teamed up with Benoit, teamed up with Mongo, teamed up with Flair.
Yeah,
great
Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes.
With Barry Windham in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Just a multitude of partners. Again, basically, he was like the go-to tag team guy for the late 80s through most of the 90s.
Scott?
My number 3, I think, Levi, you mentioned this earlier in one of your top 10 picks, but you can't deny this guy's tag team prowess, Edge. You know, his run with Christian, with Rey Mysterio, with RKO, with Jericho, Benoit, Hogan. You know, the guys, anybody you put him with, he was able to work with the guy he was teamed with, make it great and make it successful, and use that ability and experience to even further his own singles career to become one of the top of all time. Hall of Famer, still killing it in the ring to this day. Him and Seth Rollins, best trilogy of matches in WWE this year probably. So he's still going to this day. Definitely deserves to be mentioned in the world of tag wrestling.
All right, and now for the top 2. My number 2
Ooh.
has been mentioned by James, Billy Gunn. I mean, when I think Billy Gunn, I think of him as a tag guy, particularly Smoking Guns and the New Age Outlaws. 2 of the best teams of the 90s in WWF. You know, Smoking Guns, for their time, were good, but he and Road Dogg, creative was like, well, we got nothing for these guys, how about we put them together? And they created magic. And without them, who the hell knows where the tag division would have went in the Attitude Era. You know, one of the most celebrated teams in the company. So there you go. And even when they tried to make him singles, it just didn't work out for him in the end, because it's like, well, he's a good hand in the tag teams. There you go. Billy Gunn, my number 2. James?
My number 2's already been mentioned, but Arn Anderson. You put him Ole Anderson, Tully Blanchard, Larry Zbyszko, Bobby Eaton, Paul Roma. Got a fucking good team with Roma. Like, he never had a bad team with anybody.
Indeed. Walter?
Well, before I give my number 2, I want to say I'm just very happy that we finally have very different lists. And not only are our lists diverse, but everybody that we mentioned is an agreeable entry into these lists. There's no debating whatsoever. But my number 2 is Ricky Morton, Rock and Roll Forever, brother. What more can be said? The guy wrote the book on modern day tag team wrestling. His formula of psychology is still used today, up until like this very minute. Last night, the match with Natalya and Shayna Baszler versus Naomi and Sasha Banks. Naomi was Ricky Morton. That formula goes back almost 40 years.
When wrestlers are calling matches, tag matches in the back, first question: Who's Morton tonight?
Yeah,
Everyone asks that question when they have a tag match nowadays. Any locker room, anywhere in the country, probably anywhere in the world, you got a tag match. All right, who's Morton? Because they're going to be the baby face in the ring to sell their ass off to eventually make that hot tag. Yeah, exactly. So how that's how synonymous with tag wrestling Ricky Morton is. He's a reference now for tag wrestling. Who's Morton? So that's that. That's as simple as that.
Yep.
Scott?
My number 2 is going to be a weird pick, and nobody has mentioned this name except for James as an honorable mention. But when I looked back at this guy's career, holy shit, this guy's got some cred as far as a tag wrestler. Mick Foley. When you go back and look to the beginning, Gorgeous Gary Young in World Class, Bob Orton Jr. in the IWA, Mikey Whipwreck in ECW, Kevin Sullivan, Max Payne WCW, Al Snow, Steve Austin, The Rock, Kane, all those guys in the WWF, and on and on and on. You realize, holy shit, Mick is able to he's just able to slip in and out so easily because he's such a strong character and people, love him so much as an individual, not just as a wrestling personality. Because that was something that Jim Cornette said about Mick when he was taking those big bumps at the beginning when he would go off the cage with the Undertaker and right in the King of the Ring. You're like, oh, holy shit, he did that! Yeah, I'm fucking crazy! And then when you see him fall through the cage against Triple H, you're like, oh, Mick, stop doing that, please. We don't want to see you hurt yourself anymore. That's a fucking cue is getting over. So he's such a strong personality that you put him with anybody, and instantly the tag team's going to be over. And he has the prowess to back it up. He can go out there, he can be Ricky Morton, he can be Robert Gibson, or he can be the heel on the other side beating the fuck out of Ricky Morton. So it doesn't matter. So Mick Foley, very, very diverse with pro wrestling, but especially diverse and underrated tag team wrestler.
What's the comment section?
Someone in the chat.
Zach, my favorite team all on dirty sites, the Cock and Sock Connection. Jesus Christ.
We know, Zach.
All right.
Awesome.
But now for number one. And I have been holding back rage because you guys have mentioned, a couple of you guys have mentioned him in honorable mentions, and I'm just sitting there thinking, oh my God, did I make a mistake?
We'll see. We'll see.
My number one, James Storm.
I knew you were going to say that. You got to stop picking pictures that are your number one picks on Twitter, dude.
Well, no, I didn't.
You did it this week. You did it last week. So
I didn't even go on Twitter for that.
A non-arguable, not a debatable pick, though. I mean, James Storm,
one of the best tag wrestlers in TNA history.
That's
my
logic.
A good team out of each other.
Yeah.
Two
successful
my logic
two of the biggest tag teams. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my logic for why I put him at number one. He was good singles, got world titles in TNA, but when I think James Storm, I immediately think America's Most Wanted and Beer Money. The two best, arguably the two best teams TNA ever has had, because holy shit, he was able to go out there and have amazing matches with just about anybody he and a partner of his would work with. I mean, AMW Triple X, AMW and the Naturals, Beer Money and the Dudleys, Beer Money and fucking Douglas and Magnus, among so many other teams that James worked with. And yeah, this is part nostalgia for me, because when I was first getting into TNA and I saw James Storm as a tag guy, I was amazed at a lot of the matches he had. My favorite match he ever had was the Six Sides of Steel match with he and Harris against Daniels and Skipper at Turning Point 04. Holy shit.
Amazing match. Amazing match.
And no, I didn't go to Twitter for making this pick. I immediately thought of this for my number one, because it's like, he's the perennial example out of everybody on my list, I think, tag team. Out of everybody. So, James Storm, my number one. James?
All right, Scott and Walt, I think we all have the same number one.
I think we do.
Yeah.
Bobby Eaton?
Bobby Eaton.
The imperative, solid definition of a tag team specialist.
Yes. I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
Him and Condrey, him and Lane, the Midnight Express. Who was the glue who held both teams together? Him.
Bobby.
Him and Arn Anderson. Him and Steven Regal in the mid-90s. When you saw a comedic side to Bobby Eaton. Mm-hmm. It's like, holy shit, he has personality? But he was a hell of a tag team wrestler. And it's not just because he passed, because people were saying this beforehand.
Yeah.
When tag team wrestling is Bobby Eaton.
Absolutely. Yep. Go ahead,
you
Walt.
can even go before Condrey. You can say him and Norville Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. In Memphis. Just like, as I said, though, the definition of a tag team specialist. Ricky Morton wrote the book on modern tag team wrestling, but Bobby Eaton revised it, refined it, and perfected it.
Mm-hmm. Because Ricky Morton wouldn't have been a great tag wrestler without having somebody like Bobby Eaton to work with. If you ain't got a good heel, you ain't got a good babyface. They need each other, and that they right there, needed each other as much as anything else. They were married for so many years, and like you said, the glue of the Midnight Express, Bobby Eaton. Yeah, Jim Cornette, yes, the talker and the guy to put them over and get the heat. But in the ring, the general, Bobby Eaton, learned from Dennis. Dennis was a huge general too in the ring. He was great at figuring out the audience, saying they want to laugh tonight. No, these guys like serious stuff, and Bobby soaked that in. So when Stan came in, it was seamless. The team didn't change. The level of the team changed because Bobby and Dennis were up here, and it always seemed like Bobby and Stan, they were World Tag Champions, but it just seemed like a hair below Dennis and Bobby. But like you said, the main factor, though, was Bobby Eaton. And when we first talked about doing this as a topic, Bobby was the first name I thought of. So I was like, okay, he has to be my number one. If that's the first name I think of.
Express versus the Southern Boys now.
Yes, yeah, I want to see that too. I want to watch Ricky Morton, Tom Pritch, and Tommy Rich against the Midnight from Halloween Havoc. I want to watch that again. A great fucking tag match.
Ricky, even when he broke apart from Robert, when Robert got hurt, he still had a team with Tommy Rich as baby and as heels. Mm-hmm. Also teamed up with Terry Taylor and had a great run with that. Of course, he got back with Ricky or back with Robert. Robert was fully healed, and they had a hell of a run in Smoky Mountain. But Bobby Eaton is the definitive, the picture example of a tag team specialist.
There you go.
So now for the final 10, Bobby
Eaton's
number one. Straight
number
ahead.
one.
We all
now
have
two.
In the top.
I think two. Now I will fully admit I slept on Arn Anderson. I had him as an honorable mention, but I had like 20 honorable mentions at one time. I had to take some people off. But I definitely say Arn, I think, should be number 2.
Yeah.
You think that makes sense?
Yeah. Now for the rest of the list,
3 through 10. Holy crap!
3 through 10. This will be fun.
I'll let you guys do the rest because I obviously did not know a single thing of what I was talking about. Well, right, Edge should be up there too.
I think Ricky Morton should be 3rd.
Yeah, I could go with Ricky Morton. Yeah, a bunch of guys I just forgot about, like Morton and Kofi. I completely
there's a lot. I totally forgot about James Storm too. It's just an honorable mention. I was like, fuck, he's right. I forgot about all he did. And I think you had like the best like out of left field pick with Christopher Daniels, because he is, when you think about it, I mean, he really is a prominent tag team wrestler, even though he would never made it to the WWF or WCW or all that stuff. Still, he's up there.
But. Forgot a team when he was Curry Man with Shark Boy. That worked.
Yes.
The Prince Justice Brotherhood with Eric Young.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there you go. Slept on that one right there.
Konnichiwa.
Arn Anderson, Ricky Morton. 4, what do you think? Terry Gordy or Eddie Guerrero?
Gordy.
You think Gordy?
Probably go Gordy.
Because he was on more. Eddie at 5? You think Eddie at 5 or Edge?
Oh,
how about Edge?
Edge.
Eddie at 6.
Eddie
okay.
6.
Eddie at 6.
Kofi,
yeah.
Kofi
number
Kofi
7.
There. Cesaro.
Yeah, I didn't have him, but I slept on that one too. That one makes a lot of sense.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, so we'll put Cesaro at 8.
Billy Gunn.
Billy Gunn 9.
Billy Gunn at 9.
And James Storm 10.
Let's see. Was there anyone else that we talked a lot about?
Couple of us talked about Owen Hart.
Yeah, I think Owen be
Kane maybe.
I think Owen should be on the list as 10.
Yeah,
instead of like James Storm or Kane, because James and Kane were definitely there. We're talking about top 10 combined here, so you're going to mix some people. But because James was only on, your number 1, Levi, and I had him as an honorable mention. Nobody else mentioned him. Owen Hart was mentioned a couple more times, I think, in prominent top 10. So I think Owen.
Ray Stevens, you and James had him pretty high.
We did, but I mean, Ray is all time one of the greatest of all time here. But we're looking at our individual lists here to compile together. So I mean, every one of our lists, I think this is one of the best top 10 conversations we've ever had. Because of the diversity of the list here. I mean, yes, total fucking horns had all you guys for everyone coming up with this stuff today. Because this was a different conversation. It wasn't Survivor Series themed. So it was something that...
And it wasn't like we all agreed on the top 2 or 3.
Right, exactly. We're in a 3-way tie for number 1. Doesn't happen often. But, just because Levi had somebody different doesn't make him wrong, people. This is opinion. Okay, doesn't make him wrong at all.
We're all friends.
Exactly. It's all good.
And I'm not as knowledgeable about tag team wrestling like the rest.
I totally, like I said, I screwed up with Arn Anderson. I was like, as I'm looking at my list, like, fuck, why did I put Arn on there? So it made total sense. Put that on there. So
and then I was that way when I forgot Kofi. I'm like, how could I forget Kofi?
When I was putting my list together, it's like Bobby 1, Arn 2, and then the rest, it's like, okay.
Pull it in, yeah. So there you go. So we have our compiled top 10 for the Shadow Cult Tag Team Wrestling Specialist. Number 10, Owen Hart. Woo. Number 9, Billy Gunn. Kiss my ass. Number 8, Cesaro. Number 7, Kofi Kingston. Where's your accent? Number 6, Eddie Guerrero. Rest in peace. Number 5, Edge. Classic Hall of Famer. Number 4, Terry Bam Bam Gordy. Number 3, Ricky Morton, brother. Give me the hot tag. Number 2, Arn Anderson. Put up the 4. And number 1, beautiful, Bobby Eaton.
Bobby doesn't have a pose, so we can't do
Nope,
that.
don't need one.
Scott, I was surprised your list was actually more modernized than mine.
You had a lot of Japanese wrestlers, it seemed, on there too. I mean, you had Terry Funk on there mostly for his Japanese run. You had Kobashi on there.
Japanese wrestler.
You had Kobashi, but a lot of guys were their success rate in Japan. You know, Johnny Ace would not be considered a tag team specialist in America. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
The dynamic dudes.
And in some respect, too, Terry Funk wouldn't. Not in America.
No,
He's
not at all.
doing it.
Not at all. Not at all.
So it's because I was like, okay, instantly, like all of us, like James said, Bobby Eaton, Arn Anderson. How many other names do we have here? You know, like there's a lot of other names that we could have thrown on this list.
And I really wanted to put Mick Foley on my list because, like, multiple different gimmicks. He was great with everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's where I was like, oh shit, I didn't really realize what kind of tag team career he had really. So that's why he was so high on my list. But nobody had Bret Hart.
I don't think of Bret as a tag guy, even though he one of the most successful teams ever with the Hart Foundation. He's a singles guy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, for further support, when he was he team up with Bruce in
Bruce Hart, no, that was Brian Pillman. I think you're thinking of
Pillman. They were wings. Right?
Pillman's a guy you could maybe
another one.
sort of consider as a tag team specialist.
Yep,
that's true. That's very true.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes is a guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dusty.
Dick Murdoch. Adrian Adonis. Jesse Ventura.
Yep.
Bobby
You know them as tag wrestlers.
Jim Brunzell.
Jim Brunzell, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Killer Bees and the High Flyers.
Yep.
Incredible.
Don Kernodle.
Yeah.
And then in modern times, you could make a case for Bobby Roode as well.
That's true.
Yep.
You can make a case for Ziggler.
Yes.
Ziggler as well.
Yeah. A case for Ziggler. Yep.
Rey Mysterio, another one you could make a case for too. The Miz, because Miz and Morrison, Miz and Big Show.
Miz and Mizdow.
Mizdow, yes.
Yes, Mizdow, yeah.
Not for nothing, you can make a case with Kenny Omega. Kota Ibushi, Adam Page.
That's it.
I know Scott.
Adam Cole, and he teamed with Adam Cole, and or was it Kyle? No, it was Kyle O'Reilly. Him and Kyle O'Reilly were a tag team in Ring of Honor.
And I know Scott made the joke about Buff Bagwell, but he did have a successful tag.
He did have a successful run. American Males, and him and Too Cold, and
him and Scott Steiner,
and him and Scott Norton. So
the Patriots,
Luger,
Scorpio,
yep,
Scotty Riggs.
Yep. So he's got plenty of prominency there.
Him and the Patriot,
Del Wilkes,
Dude, Jacques Rougeau.
Yep.
The Rougeaus and the Quebecers.
Davey Boy. We didn't talk about Davey Boy.
Davey Boy.
Nobody brought up Davey Boy's name.
And then hell, even though this one you think of him as singles, and we did talk about him before the show started, but Jericho you could have made a bit of a case for.
Yep.
Steve Kern. That's the fabulous ones where he teamed with Mike Graham, he teamed with Bobby.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, now you mention it. Yeah, he did. Yep.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of names that just could keep going and going and going and find some kind of argument to say, the tag team specialist, absolutely. So
Lawler.
Yeah, Lawler. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lawler.
Yep.
But
Matt
now
Bourne.
on to
John Cena, Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels,
Shawn, yeah.
Yep.
Now I joke about Shawn, but it's like he did have a lot of successful teams.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Marty, and hell, even him and Diesel. Short time, him and Austin.
Him and Triple H.
I'm actually very surprised that nobody, especially Levi or James, did not have Rey Mysterio.
I don't think of Ray as a tag team guy.
That's. Mm.
I think of them primarily singles.
That's where the overshadow. It's debatable. It's kind of like with Eddie.
Yeah.
And see, that's why
even with
that's
Edge
why I didn't have him on my list.
And it's like even with Edge being in the list, it's like you could also make the same case that even his singles run has started to overshadow his tag team, but still legacy.
Edge was not a prominent tag wrestler after 2004, 2005. That's when the solo career.
But Edge is still tied with Kofi for being the most decorated tag champion in company history with 14.
That's very true.
Hell, they can team up and break each other's records. 15.
Yeah. There you go.
They could.
Edge and Kofi.
Exactly, they should do that.
Cool.
That's a great idea.
That would be cool.
That's a fucking story. That's an organic story right there they could roll with.
They really could.
Make the tag titles prominent again. People would give a shit about them.
Yes.
Going back to Japan, you could say Muda.
You could say Muda. Okay, let's back up here. I want to riff off this because James came up with a brilliant idea. You put Kofi and Edge as a team, and you say, we both are tied for most tag team runs. We want to hit 15 together, and we want to unify the SmackDown and Raw championships together.
Yes.
Make that storyline right there.
Please.
That would be fucking great.
Amazing.
That would make you care about the tag divisions right now because nobody gives a shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only problem is Kofi's on... Isn't Kofi on SmackDown right now?
Kofi's on SmackDown, Raw is on it. But that further supports unifying the tag belts.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so at the Royal Rumble, where both promotions come together, that's where they meet in the Rumble. I have them do a face-off, but they both get jumped by the Usos and by RK Bro. And then out of that, something happens where they meet in the back like, hey, you think what I'm thinking? Yeah. Sex? No. But donuts? No. Video games? No. Championships, dude. You and me, we should become a tag team. Why? Because, and then you just build into the whole story from there. It would be phenomenal. And shout out to Kofi Kingston and his wife, had their third child. Mustafa Ali and his wife, they had another child. Someone else just had another kid too. I forgot who it was. But yeah, people be fucking in COVID times.
I think Lacey Evans had her baby too.
Lacey Evans, people be fucking during COVID times. So, yep.
So now to transition into what went on this week in wrestling, and I want to go ahead and get this one out of the way because, oh god, Raw, fucking moron coming out and attacking Rollins. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
This was scary, dangerously close. Because what if that guy was armed?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And kudos to Rollins too for keeping his cool, even though afterwards, oh my god, I still laugh.
Is that all you got, motherfucker?
Come on, boy! Do you want blindside me, motherfucker?
Yep. Adam Pearce. Kudos to the refs and Adam Pearce for getting there before security did.
Yeah, that's the second most prominent time you've seen security like sleeping. First time was Hall of Fame with Bret.
Yeah, same building too.
Oh, gee, now you mentioned it. Yes,
wow. Both fans came from the same area.
They need to close that area off.
You think they fucking would
get security,
real
security, not enhancement guy security.
And there is a photo out there of Seth Rollins. He got that kid.
Got the guy,
right into almost a guillotine.
Yeah.
And the referee pulling the kid off of him. Right. Because a lot of people, including Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah, Chavo had to jump in there for some reason. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw the fan cam footage from like right next to it where it
there,
happened.
Yeah, the phone shot. Yep.
Yeah, that was really, really crazy because he comes in, he has him in the guillotine to hold him down before everybody else could get up, and then go on about his business. I didn't see it when it happened. I just heard about it from Ricky on Facebook. I was just
caught it on Twitter.
I don't know if I was streaming at the time or not, but like Ricky let me know like Seth Rollins got attacked by a fan. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And then I looked it up and I see it. I'm like, fuck that piece of shit.
And it's like, I believe that same fan was talking shit to Montez Ford before the show.
During like one of the guy. I think it was a different guy that did that. I know what you're talking about. I saw the footage of that, and I think that's a different dude. I could be wrong, but I think it is. But yeah, again, what the fuck? Why? What for? What reason?
He got freaking catfished.
Yeah, totally. And then Sami Zayn jumps out there and gets in the guy's face. Like, Sammy's going to fuck you up, man.
Yeah.
Becky was ready to fight the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy hates fans. Sammy is anti-fan. Sammy will punch you. He don't care.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's there for his paycheck.
Oh, Sammy, how 180 of a person you've become.
Dude,
But-
if
I watched it with my kids, and my daughter was trying to tell my son, because my son's like, "Whoa, is that a debut?" And she's like, "No, nobody's making their debut."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
if only Shooter Mark Curtis was still alive.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we need the doctor.
Brian
yeah.
Brian would have taken that guy.
Ryan
Actually,
Hildebrand.
no,
Yep, Dr. Mark Curtis. Mhm.
Dr. Mark Curtis.
Yep. Or fucking Earl Hebner. Hebner will grab you in a fucking
Yeah.
headlock.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You won't fuck around.
Or Ref Hansen. I'm kidding.
Hansen would run like
But
a
I
bitch.
mean,
Oh God!
But I mean,
Hansen
the-
would jump over the guardrail.
Yep.
yeah. But I mean, like, it just brings back memories, terrible memories of what happened with Bret 2.5 years ago at the Hall of Fame. And I completely forgot they were at Brooklyn for Survivor Series weekend.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, fuck me.
Mhm.
I mean,
That was when FTR took those guys down.
yeah, Dash
One of them
Wilder
punched that
fucking
guy in the
decked him right in
face.
the fucking face as they was carrying him out. Wham! And down he went, and then he just
Oh, they-
casually
they-
walked off.
They did their best Dennis Condrey. Dennis
Yep.
Condrey was
Heel
big
punch.
sword punch.
Yep.
But I mean, it's just like, and it's the never-ending question: Why the fuck do we let this shit happen?
This guy went on his Instagram or something and said that he was a cousin to Roman Reigns and the
I
Usos.
did it for the
Not even
bloodline.
the same ethnicity,
did it
for
for
fuck's
family. Like, come on, dude. Whatever.
And then-
This is why wrestlers are very standoffish with fans now, because the
Yep.
fandom is way more toxic than it ever used to be.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chavo opened his mouth.
Yeah,
on
and it's like,
Twitter.
Chavo, dude,
Chavo
relax.
apologized. He took it back. He apologized.
Yeah,
But still,
it's that knee jerk off reaction that so many people have nowadays when it comes to.
he's sorry
like-
people called him out.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
So that
I
happened.
will admit that the funniest thing was Rollins fucking going off on a guy. Come on, boy, you want to blindside me, motherfucker?
Yep.
Right in front
And there's
of
footage, I
everybody.
guess. There's footage backstage too. I didn't see that one, but I know there's like footage of like Seth, I think, talking to the guy backstage too while the security is there. But I didn't see that one.
I haven't seen that either.
Yeah.
TMZ also caught Seth on the way out of the arena.
Oh, of course they did.
Of
man,
course,
that was-
because fuck TMZ.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I was messed up. I need a coffee. I'm gonna fuck my wife. And good for you, Seth. Good for you. Please bang her in the outfit she was wrestling at Survivor Series.
That's
Scarlet
what I
Witch
was saying.
style.
I'm like,
I gotta imagine.
I think that was-
Whenever.
I'm like, Seth isn't gonna let her just go get away with that.
Hell no. He's like, baby,
I
come
gotta
here.
imagine. I gotta imagine
You
when.
did a pregnant.
I gotta imagine when Seth and Becky are banging at every time they go at, he's laughing like a mechanical circus clown. Ha 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 ha.
Skydive Fantasy booked a great stable with Becky, Rollins, and Omega. With
Oh, yeah.
Becky being the straight face and Rollins and Omega being the comedy.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
They would
All
like
they're
compare
doing-
jackets and outfits, and Becky would just walk in like, "What the fuck you two doing?" Nothing, hun. Or they're playing video games. Like both Kenny and Seth are playing video games in the living room, and here comes Becky in the robe and the slippers and her hair a mess with a cup of coffee and a cigarette. I have to change the baby again. What you're playing? And they're both like, "Sorry, dear, we'll take care of it." I can't fucking do this all myself, you know. And walks away, and then Kenny's like, "Shh." Seth's like, "Yeah, keep playing."
Just
Just picture
clip
that
that,
shit.
please.
Perfect.
Please clip that if anybody's watching on Twitch.
Yep.
Oh,
That's the kind of content you want. You want that.
God.
Omega Rollins, drip, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the hell Omega's nickname is, but five-star drip. 5-star drip. But
The drip cleaners.
drip cleaners. That sounds like a porn shop.
it really
So-
does.
Yeah.
But
ugh.
what else happened this week?
Colt Cabana got his teeth knocked out by Bryan Danielson.
Yep.
Ouchies. Ouch.
Danhausen is ready to go. Did you know Danhausen is nothing for teeth?
Danhausen is Reddyhausen.
Yep, Reddyhausen for teeth.
And evil.
Evil.
Very friendly. Very
evil. No swearing.
that was pretty good.
Are we sure you're not Danhausen?
Hey, Faye, brother.
Where would Danhausen go if you were assigned to a major company?
I don't know.
Oh, God.
He isn't going to have a whole lot of luck in either place. I'm going to tell you that
No,
right
no.
now.
They just have to let him be him.
He's a cult. He's a cult figure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I would not mind Danhausen just being backstage all the time and fucking around for the 24/7 title.
Have hit.
Just keep him back there with R-Truth.
That would be funny.
Let him and R-Truth form a comedy team.
Make him creative control of AEW.
There you go.
Give him like creative control in World Class. I'm sorry, in WCW, like when Vince Russo was doing it, but have Danhausen there. And you can have a couple jackasses from the Dark Order stand behind him doing nothing, because that's what they do anyway, and just throw out ridiculous rules and everything, and just have his moments, interactions with him and Darby Allin. You want Danhausen and Sting to have a little interaction there? I think that'd be fun.
Oh my God.
No swearing.
No swear. Adam Page and Danhausen. No swearing.
MJF
and Britt Baker, the dentist. The dentist and Danhausen have an interaction about teeth. So, yeah, there's lots to be done there, but they have to let Danhausen be him.
I was going to say, they'll probably put him with Orange Cassidy, but we've seen they do videos together on YouTube all the time.
True,
We know
too easy. But if they ever did a gimmick where like Danhausen, like Orange Cassidy was in a position to pick a tag partner, but it can't be anybody in AEW, boom, there you go. There's his end.
Danhausen in NXT, him and Dexter Lumis.
Wow. That's money.
Yep.
I like that.
Anything else?
What else has been going on these days? It's a relatively quiet week. Survivor Series was last week. Good show, not fantastic.
You have people calling it one of the worst Survivor Series ever, and it's not.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I mean, Becky and Charlotte, great match. Fuck finish, but that's kind of like what we thought was going to happen anyway. But
Becky looked amazing.
Yeah, she did. Oh my God.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that outfit her ass was eating everything in that outfit last night. But Scarlet Witch influence, so it was really cool. So that was good.
Like Agatha Harkness, which was cool. The contrast.
Right, yeah. There was that. The men's Survivor Series match was okay. And it was there.
Kind of a mess.
Yeah, women's match was a slop fest. Crowd was not into it. They were doing CM Punk chants and doing the wave for fuck's sake. So I don't know what it was. Big and Roman really good. It is getting to the point where we know Roman's winning no matter what, and especially with that show because no belts on the line. It doesn't help that that just adds to the fact Roman's going over. I mean, we know he's going over anyway, but it just makes it even more obvious when there's no title on the line. So great match. The finish was what it was. Came out of nowhere. And what else was on that show? Priest and Nakamura being in the pre-show, I was pissed off. I missed half the match.
It was a good match, and the finish sucked.
There was RK Bro and the Usos.
Yep, I took a shower during that match.
And RK Bro won, which was shocker.
Raw won them all, except the Universal title in the pre-show.
Yep. Yeah.
We live in an age where things are taken to extreme. Like you will now have fans calling this the worst Survivor Series in history. Where you also have fans saying All Out was the best pay-per-view in the past 30, 40 years.
Right, yeah.
I blame the toxicity of the wrestling community, the internet wrestling community, for these extremes.
So to fix Survivor Series,
clearly have not seen 1999 Survivor Series.
No, they have not, or 1995.
These people haven't lived during a day and age where there was a red hot crowd. These people did not live during a day and age of world-class championship wrestling or Mid-South wrestling.
Nope.
Where crowds were red hot, I mean, and selling out arenas constantly.
Yep.
Yeah, AEW has a lot of good points, but it's also got a shitload of bad points too.
Yeah. So to fix Survivor Series, number one, I think you need title matches nowadays. You got to get the Universal title and the World title on there in some way. That takes 2 spots. Have a men's, not interpromotional, interbrand Survivor Series match. Have a Raw match. Have 5-on-5 Raw men and then 5-on-5 women's match, both from Raw, and do the same with SmackDown. And that's your show. That's 6 matches right there. Throw a tag title match or something else in there, and that's it. That's your show nowadays.
Yep.
So, brand split means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Nobody cares.
Make the elimination matches based on feuds again. Something that we care about.
Yep.
See, my idea is you have the Universal title feud, and then they have teams. You have a mid-card feud, not necessarily the mid-card title, but a mid-card feud, and they have one, and then you have the women's feud for each show.
Yep, that makes sense. That's even better.
And it's 6 elimination matches.
Mm-hmm.
And don't do a tag team one. Incorporate the tag teams into the
Right. So if you had like Roman, the Usos, and somebody against Big E, Kofi. Well, Kofi's injured, but Big E, Xavier Woods, and other people, maybe Nakamura there, or whoever else is in the top, title picture there.
True.
So, just Drew. There you go.
Jeff Hardy was one of the most over guys on the night.
Yeah. What about that?
God, yeah. Well, Jeff won the battle. Oh no! I thought he won. No, excuse me. Sammy won the battle.
Yeah, last night.
Jeff's always coming short now. Jeff.
Almost won the Pizza Battle Royal.
And I called that. I knew that was going to happen.
Oh yeah, you called that.
We all knew that was going to happen.
Yep. So that was kind of and the fucking egg.
What? That's only the real thing I hated on the night. Like, what the fuck was that about?
And the fact that people
the next night where everyone is going after the egg. You got Rhea Ripley and Kayla Braxton ripping through things to find the egg.
Find the egg. It's like, okay, come on, people. And the other big factor that people were bitching about was The Rock didn't show up.
He was never advertised.
Never advertised, exactly. Why did you think he was going to be there?
Oh, but AEW keeps their promises.
Sure.
Anyways.
They never promised The Rock there.
No, never promised it.
He's in another country filming a movie.
He's a little busy, folks. So.
Yeah.
Only being the biggest star in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. So, with Survivor Series done, next up we got War Games coming up for NXT.
Dude, I love how they're building up a lot of the matches, especially the men's War Games, how it's old school NXT versus new school NXT.
2.0.
Yep.
So for this card, we got, for the women's War Games, we got Team Raquel Gonzalez, Io Shirai, Cora Jade, and since when did Kaylee Ray turn babyface?
This week.
This week.
She cost Mandy Rose against Cora Jade.
She's Nikita.
Up against Team Dakota Kai, and Toxic Attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, can we just have Mandy Rose dance in the cage?
Please.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, she was hot as a blonde, but as a brunette.
Much hotter.
You never thought she'd get hotter. She's like, hold my hair coloring. She's like, I'm going to take it on, show you my natural look. Like, damn.
Just shave all the things that need shaving if you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Uh-huh.
Do you like pie?
You like strudel?
Who the hell would I pick to win this? I guess I would probably go with Team Dakota to pick up the win. Because Toxic Attraction's got so much momentum going.
Yeah, a lot of momentum going there. So
Dakota's done nothing since she got back, so they got to get her.
They need to get something going with her. So yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
Then we got a first time in I don't know how long a hair versus hair match. Duke Hudson and Cameron Grimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Duke Hudson's Wade Barrett 2.0. It's almost exact. It's almost exact gimmick when Wade was wrestling.
I don't know who to pick for this.
I don't know either.
Cameron Grimes has been embarrassing Duke Hudson this entire build, so Cameron's going to lose.
And didn't Cameron already get like a semi-haircut? Does he have like shoulder length hair now?
Something like that. So
Yeah.
they're obviously setting something up.
Right. Yeah, kind of. He probably showed up to work one day like, hey, you cut your hair. Hey, you want to cut your hair more? Yeah. We'll do a hair versus hair match.
You want to get paid money?
Okay.
Yeah, you want to get paid money to get a hair?
Cheers!
The tag title is going to be like a fatal four-way.
Well, right now it's a triple threat. Right now, it's still one-on-one. It's Imperium versus either O'Reilly and Von Wagner or Legado del Fantasma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not official who.
So it'll be a triple threat.
Yeah,
Probably.
it will.
And I say Imperium retains.
Von Wagner and Kyle O'Reilly are such a weird pairing.
I thought Von got called up to like SmackDown or something. Wasn't he on TV?
He was there. He was like standing next to Adam Pearce. That's all he was doing.
Yeah. So I don't know what that's about either. Because Kyle's it's Wayne Bloom's kid. Yep. Destruction Crew, Beverly Brothers. But I mean, Kyle's gonna be gone soon anyway. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got
Fish needs Kyle back. He does.
He does.
Then we got the Cruiserweight title match, Roddy Strong versus Joe Gacy. I say Roddy retains.
I think Gacy's winning it because they waived the 205 limit for this match.
Oh, okay.
I think they're going to try and make the Cruiserweight title an all-inclusive belt. They're going to try and rebrand it. Because that's Joe Gacy's whole thing. Because the Cruiserweight title is not its inclusive to just 205 and under. And Roddy's like, you know what? Waive the 205 weight limit. I want to fight him. They're probably rebranding the belt, because what the hell is 205 Live now?
Exactly.
No. I saw like women are wrestling on there too. It's become a developmental program, even more than NXT.
So yeah, they're probably rebranding the belt. Whatever, the Cruiserweight title doesn't really mean anything, and Roddy's probably leaving at some point, so...
Yeah, probably.
And Zach, just in the comments, Joe Gacy versus Cancel Culture, book that match. And have Cancel Culture fucking die in a fiery explosion like it should, anyways.
Yeah, that ain't going anywhere.
But then the main event of the men's War Games with Team Ciampa, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Pete Dunne, and LA Knight versus Team Braun. Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Grayson Waller, and Tony D'Angelo.
Yeah, Braun's team should win this one.
Yeah.
This is probably Gargano's final NXT match because he signed a week extension.
Yep, to do this match. Gargano and Ciampa one last time, DOY together. So, yeah. And Gargano
that's another guy where honestly I don't think wherever he goes, it's not going to elevate him much. He goes to the main roster. I could see him compete for the U.S. or the title or the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
He signs AEW. You'll get the dream match with Daniel Bryan, but after that,
what do you do after that?
Blow the load on that one, and there'll be no way to go back.
Because Gargano, he's a great wrestler, but what else do you have?
Yeah.
You have so many great wrestlers, quote unquote.
Not a whole lot of personality.
That's the problem is with AEW and WWE. I mean, where are you putting these guys? Is Johnny Gargano going to move your needle? Is he going to bring in ratings? Is he going to garner interest and get people invested?
Thank you, Zach, for the clip. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I forgot to point that out. He did clip.
But
yeah, he typed on Twitter.
Especially the fact with this men's War Games, they've been building this since the first episode of NXT 2.0. Braun Breaker beating LA Knight and then confronting Ciampa after winning the title. They've been building up Carmelo Hayes as the A champion, and I've actually really enjoyed the build towards this War Games match. I know a lot of people, you've got the people, it's all stupid. You're not watching it anyway, so why are you bitching?
Exactly. It's been fine. It's been fine with me. I mean, it's like I said, if these people want pure, straightforward wrestling product, NXT UK. It's more pure wrestling than anything on television right now, no matter what promotion. If they want wrestling purists, that's where they can go.
There you go.
And it's funny, the people that are bitching about NXT now, they abandoned NXT when AEW came. So what are you bitching about? You abandoned NXT.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And what's the natural reaction when a product starts tanking in ratings? Okay, we got to change shit around. Hence why they had to they made the rebrand.
Yep.
Something Tony Khan's gonna have to look into if Rampage keeps pulling in these ratings, these 0.5s and 0.4s and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But knowing him, probably ain't gonna do shit.
Nah, probably not.
No, he's got
The Bucks resigned. The Buck resigned with AEW.
Of course.
I know, big shock of the week.
The EVPs, of course, they're going to be singing.
Yep.
Brian announced that Brian went over the details of his contract. He has 3 years. He signed a 3-year deal with AEW. That's long enough for him to get his kicks in, go sign with Vince, get his Hall of Fame ring, and his WrestleMania retirement match.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't think of a better way to end the night, but before we go, quick reminder of what's coming for December, since this is the last episode of November. Only 3 episodes in the month of December, as we will be taking Christmas off. So, you're going to want to tune in next week. It's the 15th anniversary special of ECW December to December 06. Oh,
Yay,
my
awesome!
Lord.
Woo! Awesome.
We're going to be piping in crowd noise for that show.
EC dub, EC dub, EC dub.
But then the week after that, top 10 Oddball tag teams, and then we end the year with Starrcade 91, the Lethal Lottery.
The Battle Bowl.
Battle Bowl.
And then remind us, Scott, of what's coming in January.
All right, so find this here. So for January, it's Royal Rumble month. So we're going to be focusing mostly on Royal Rumble topics. We start out 2022. It's going to be 2022, so for about a sec. We start Royal Rumble month from the beginning. Royal Rumble 1988, the one that was not on pay-per-view. It was on broadcast television in the USA, a 2-hour show instead of a 3-hour show. Then the week after that, we will have top 10 Royal Rumble moments. I already know what my number one is. Then the week after that, we will do Royal Rumble 07. The week after that, top 10 Royal Rumble match performances. And rounding out the month of January, because we have 5 Saturdays, Royal Rumble 1999.
No chance. No chance in hell. You've got...
Yep.
I quit.
I
quit.
Yep.
But
so that's what we have lined
up. And give the Rock his WWF championship.
We'll get there. Nothing is lined up after January now. We will get there when we get there.
Top 10 Giant Gonzalez matches.
All right.
No, that's our April Fool's episode.
So with that said, it's plug time before we go. Scott?
You find me on YouTube. It's Mr. Scott. Find my channel, reaction videos. Coming this Thursday, December 2nd, 2021, 12/2/21. That's a palindrome, by the way. You will see the Horns High Christmas 2021 Christmas album commercial coming at you. So check that out. You're going to like it. My top tier patrons, my promoters have already seen it, and they've given me good feedback on it. So I think it's going to be a good one this year. Got reactions to Hypocrisy coming up, reactions to Epic Fails coming up on the channel. All kinds of fun stuff is happening there. Also find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/it's Mr. Scott. Been jamming on there, having a great time. Mostly doing Thrill Me Thursday right now and kind of here and there streams. But I do a lot of 80s tunes, jamming out on bass guitar to a lot of great fun. I do Heat of the Moment for Asia. I've always put that out to Walter. I've done Nana, 99 Left Balloons. I've done Huey Lewis. Do a lot of Hall & Oates lately. So all kinds of fun stuff on the stream there, jamming out. And also you find me on Patreon, patreon.com/it's Mr. Scott. I have promoter level, booker level, agent level, and manager level. So stop on in there and find out what you get when you sign up at my Patreon.
Walter?
Scott, you should do Wild Boys by Duran Duran.
Yes.
You can find me, Mr. Scott, every Monday on the Necrocasticon, where we are joined by our good friends Token Tom Clark, Skip Novak, Sergeant Fury, Dan Roberts, and once in a while Levi drops in every now and then. Where we discuss the finest in horror and metal. So every Monday on your favorite podcasting outlet.
James.
You can find me on my YouTube at We Are Pro Wrestling, where for December I'm going to be talking Christian Cage in TNA, Vader in the WWF, Trish Stratus, Taz in ECW, and then my 2021 In Memoriam. So you can subscribe to me there and follow me on Twitter at WAPW_wrestling.
Send Hook.
Oh, man.
Survive if I let you.
But anyways, and then you can subscribe to me on YouTube, ThrashManiac99. I've been on a roll with reviews as of late for albums. Last week I did Exodus, Swallow the Sun, Obscura. Already did Hypocrisy. I did In Mourning earlier. Don't know what I'm going to do. I'm torn between either Rhapsody of Fire or Cynic. But I'm probably going to end up doing Rhapsody of Fire because I'm looking more forward to that than the new Cynic. Also, been doing other stuff, including Sodom album ranking I did during the week, as well as the yin to the yang that was the 10 terrible songs on great albums. I did 10 good songs on terrible albums. So I'd be curious to see what Scott would think for a list on that home front. Probably be difficult because, yeah, that too. You can follow me on Instagram at ThrashManiac_YT. I'm almost to 300 followers. And then finally, you can follow and or subscribe to me on Twitch at ThrashManiac99. Almost to 350 followers there. And actually, I've been going back and forth in my mind about a kind of a fateful decision regarding the Shadow Cult YouTube channel. I've been thinking about moving the podcast to one of our channels. So that way maybe more exposure comes in and see what happens, like maybe to my channel or something like that. I've been thinking about that, like after this year, moving the podcast to my channel or something. Kind of food for thought right now. We'll see, but we got a month to think about it. Yeah. But yeah, it's just something that's just been going on in my head back and forth of what to do. But regardless of all that, thank you guys for watching this week, and we'll see you next week for the ECW December to Dismember review. But for those watching on Twitch, we're going to raid Patriot Gaming, which is a group Twitch channel that's military veterans that play games, and currently on there is my good friend Andrea, Cybertech Chick. And go give her a follow, and also Patriot Gaming. And until next week, horns high, see you soon.
Hail to the